I got 6 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order. Becky, you want to do roll call, please?
Brian Venema.
Here.
Christine Bob. Here. Monica McHugh. Her phone's here.
So she's there.
Welcome back to Monica.
Okay.
Marita Keys. Here. Sandra Gerlach. Here. Tom Stewart.
Yes.
Mike Burke.
Here. See if Monica's on there. She's not here.
Okay, can you hear me now? I couldn't get unmuted.
Hello. Yes.
What? So she's here.
I'm here.
Okay, have everybody's had a chance to check the meeting minutes from the October 20th, 25 meeting? If there's any corrections or discussion or as for a motion to approve?
I'll move that we approve as presented.
So second,
I'll second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so we need a motion to open the public hearing
I'll move that we open the public hearing.
for the, so does anybody here have a comment, something for us? Want to speak?
Did we want a second?
Oh, a second, I'm sorry.
Hey.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed?
Aye.
So now, if there's anybody present that wants to speak, anything?
We're just here to see what you come up with on Senator ordinance.
Okay,
We have Tyler online.
yeah, you check with whoever's on.
Tyler, I believe you're probably here to speak on the rezoning, correct?
Up there.
Tyler?
Oop, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Did you have something to say about the rezoning case?
No, I was just curious what that was all about is all.
Sure.
I just got a letter the other day and I didn't know what was going on.
Yep. Okay. Thank you for joining.
Okay, so we don't have anything from public then? So we need a motion to close the public hearing. So moved. Anybody second it, please?
One second.
All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Got you, Monica. A little bit delay. Yeah. So, we have before us case number ZC 25-05, rezoning request for a Yvonne Marie Carnes, is that correct?
Correct.
So I think we need a motion to we need a motion to open that public hearing on that for the rezoning request. Or not? And just move forward.
I believe just move forward.
Okay. Can you give us a scoop on what's going on here, Becca, for us, please?
Yes. This request came forward after the new owner of the property, Ms. Carnes, moved into the property and visited the zoning office to discuss an idea she had for using the existing barns. Given the long commercial history of the site and based on conversations she had locally when she purchased the property, she was under the impression that commercial business activity could continue there. I reviewed the zoning map and I realized that although the parcel has been assessed and operating as a commercial property since before 1976, the zoning map still shows it as A1 agriculture. and the A1 agriculture district does not allow a retail business. So that mismatch between the mapped zoning and the long-standing, well-documented commercial use is what initiated the review and brings the rezoning before you. This is the third one that I think I found since not even that long ago, since in the last 5 years. I think it's the third one. It's not something that we go out and look for, is mismatch between assessed and zoning. But when things are presented to us on a case-by-case basis, then we address them then. The last one that I found was in 2022, I believe, which was Ryan Rolling. A logging business was in that A1 zoning district. And that is not where logging belongs. So he then also county initiated rezoning to industrial. So this, she wants to open a gift shop with the Iowa artists and makers. It's in the former Gib Marcucci stables, which was a well-known commercial equestrian facility that operated for well over 50 years. That business was public facing and brought customers onto the property. The long-standing commercial activity is the reason the parcel has been assessed as commercial for decades. So the rezoning does not introduce a new commercial area. Instead, it would just correct the zoning map to reflect what the county has consistently treated as a commercial site. Ms. Carnes plans to continue the commercial character of the property, but with a much lower impact use than the Gib Marcucci did. She is
I always pronounce it Marcusi.
Marcusi.
That
Okay.
way I always pronounce it.
Okay, Marcusi. A small gift shop featuring Iowa makers and artists and within the existing barns. The parcel, there are two different parcels on the property. The house parcel will remain A1 and it'll just be the barns, the stable area, which will be rezoned to commercial. And that is consistent also then with Marcusi. They didn't do any activity within the home, only with the stables. Ms. Carnes plans to continue the commercial character of the property, but with a much lower impact use, a small gift shop featuring Iowa makers and artists, and within the existing barns. She is also planning on keeping the original M barn signs, preserving the identity and history of the former Marcusi stables. Elizabeth in the Health Department, she has reviewed the proposal and she confirmed that the well and septic were recently inspected. With the purchase, they are operating property and that the level of traffic expected from a small gift shop will not negatively impact the septic system. And it is consistent with the land use policy. I put a copy. It aligns, the rezoning aligns with county's statement, particularly objective 1, which is accommodating commercial uses in appropriate locations. Objective 4, encouraging development near existing towns. And objective 9, accommodating existing development without encouraging growth in inappropriate areas. And I can bring up these were the requirements for the A1 Ag District, where retail is not allowed. Then the C1 commercial retail. And although it was horse and equestrian products and horse different business activities that went on, it was still retail. So it would still have to be zoned commercial.
Let's see. Oh,
And she is right outside of one there, and it's still, I believe the speed limit is still reduced until maybe
Top of the hill.
top of the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like the L-shaped property
Exactly.
there, right?
Yep.
Okay. So there's, and the home's in the lower right-hand corner.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're there.
And she has plenty of parking in there and through here. And here you can see where it is classed commercial.
She does own the home, that's correct.
She does, yeah.
I would move that we, recommend to approve.
With no conditions or anything.
I don't see any reason for any conditions.
Okay.
Do you see any reason, Becca, for any conditions?
I didn't see any reason for any conditions. She's gonna keep it,
Yeah.
consistent with property use.
We need to do a roll call on this one.
Sure can.
We probably should, I suppose.
Yep. Brian Venema,
Yes.
Christine Bob. Yes. Monica McHugh,
Yes.
Emerita Keys,
Yes.
Sandra Gerlach,
Yes.
Tom Stewart,
Yes.
Mike Burke,
Yes. It's true. I have a beginning. We're done, okay. Move on to the next item. Is items from the public. Guessing we kind of did that already, so I'm probably don't need to do that. So we can go ahead and start our work session with the Data Processing Center draft ordinance, which is kind of different name now. We know what it is. Becca will help us with that.
yes.
I had to laugh when I saw that. That's quite the name for it.
And I had to look it up and look for.
It's a bigger umbrella.
Oh, yeah.
It is a bigger umbrella, the High Density Computing Facilities Ordinance, otherwise HDCF. That encompasses then the data processing, crypto mining, anything using, high density computing.
So is that a standard definition and used around state of world or whatever?
Not in our industry.
No, but I mean, I mean, is that why we went with that
It's-
definition?
This, data processing, data mining, high density computing facilities is ever changing and ever evolving, and this is what the current term being used is.
My question was gonna be, is this gonna cover everything in the future kind of thing?
Yes,
Okay. Rather than.
As much-
Until
as
something
much as
changes.
it
So,
can.
So anything with this in a close area using lots of computers is covered by this.
Yes,
Okay.
at this
Okay.
time.
At this time.
Yes. And in the, one of the proposals then in the, proposed draft is to, revisit it every 3 years.
Yeah, so there's some, for something,
To keep up with the technology.
and if the state thing changes, it changes it also. Okay.
But we're trying to do as much as we did with the, changing the zoning ordinance and, keep it fluid, how we discovered in the last one. Put in the little disclaimers that if things change, then this will change also. Yes. I did want to, again, because it's ever evolving and ever changing, and it can pretty much even change from when I send it out to when we discuss it. I have a few talking points that we can hit right away, and it kind of will choose the course then for how we go through it, so we're not necessarily starting on page 1 and going through, if that's okay. The first section 1 is just kind of the overview of it, and section 2 is the definitions. And we're going to be ever evolving and adding to the definitions, so it's not something we necessarily have to go through one by one at the time. Unless you wanted to read through the definition of the HDCF.
Pretty self-explanatory, I think.
I'll put it up so you guys can see. And you'll have to remind me to scroll. There's the definition of the HDCF.
Right. Makes sense.
Okay, so a short list of some optional discussion items right off the bat. So in section 6, noise and vibration. So what I have in the original draft is pretty lengthy. And an option to discuss would be to replace it with the sheet for the just on the discussion suggestions, the noise limits, and that's to keep it at not to exceed 50 decibels, which then matches our wind energy ordinance. And then to add the tonal or low frequency noise. If testing identifies a distinct hum or low frequency tone, a +5 dBA adjustment may be applied to evaluate compliance.
Well, I think it'd be good to keep it the same as the wind ordinance. And we don't have that low frequency in the wind ordinance, right?
No,
Yeah.
no, so that's a new addition to the high definition.
And so my question is where did you come up with that then? I mean, what prompted that?
It was the Lynn County presentation.
Yeah, right.
From,
So that's,
mhm,
yeah, I watched some of that anyway, so,
yeah, he had a good point on that.
yeah. So then my question is if we're trying to keep them similar, are we gonna need to, if we add this here, are we gonna need to add that to our wind ordinance?
Right,
Kind of a rhetorical question for the commission to think about. I think the 50 decibels, on the upper end is completely reasonable to keep it, in line with the wind ordinance.
Yeah, I agree with that. Oh. I don't know, we need to go back and rework that. Since I think that's so restrictive, I don't think we're going to worry about it anyway.
I'm just
Yeah,
playing devil's advocate here.
yeah,
Because Monica's not here.
Yeah,
No, I'm here. I'm listening. I'm agreeing.
trying to stay ahead of you there, Monica.
Thanks, Tom.
Well, we wouldn't need to do that tonight, but I'm
No.
saying
Yeah.
if we decide to put that in, that's something we should, you know, we should at least talk about it, so.
Right.
Hmm.
And the 50 decibels, consistent for the administrator level.
Great. Mhm. I agree with that. And I don't have a problem with putting this, number 2 into the tonal low frequency noise. You know, if that is the standard that counties are using, or that is, you know, I know nothing about the numbers you're throwing there, because I'm guessing most of us don't know anything about the Hummer low frequency tone information here,
I'm aware of it,
you
yeah.
know, so I mean, we just have to go with what we think is what you say is
Right.
kind of the standard to use.
Yeah. Okay.
Whether it be 5 or 10, and I have no idea. But I'm okay with it, yeah. I am. Anybody else got anything?
Every,
I like the way it is here.
super, okay. So then moving on to section 7. Cooling and water use.
I think it's fine to put that in there. The one-time use is kind of the old technology. And the closed loop system is, you know, what's going on now, or on smaller units. The wind or the air cooled. And so I think there's no harm at all putting that in there, because I don't think anybody's really. Well, if they're up to standards, they're not gonna be thinking about putting that in anyway, so we might as well quash it before it starts.
So add in the cooling system requirement of high density computing facilities shall use closed loop or air cooled systems, open loop, once through, or water consumptive cooling systems are prohibitive.
I would agree with that.
I would agree with that.
I think the purpose looks good there for your B.
Okay, good. The purpose states these standards protect rural aquifers, prevent high volume withdrawals from private wells, and avoid thermal or chemical discharge into creeks, rivers, or other surface water features.
Agree.
And then for the limited exception, we could add that would be optional for the Board of Adjustment consideration. The Board of Adjustment may consider an alternative cooling technology only if the applicant provides a certified engineering report showing that the system does not withdraw groundwater or surface water, results in no net consumptive water loss, does not increase risk to nearby wells or hydrologically sensitive features, and complies with all IDNR water use and discharge requirements.
Yeah.
And then
I'm just guessing what you're saying there is that if for some reason they come up with some new way of doing things,
yeah.
that's kind of covered,
And they will.
but yeah, I'm sure they will. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. So the Board of Adjustment has the power to
Right.
make that consideration. after
Almost
that.
like,
But we're not risking anything that we talked about in letter A.
correct. Yes,
Right, okay.
almost like tonal now with wind energy. So trying to cover
Yeah,
but,
trying to cover everything.
but if we haven't, there's something to fall back on.
Yeah.
So then along with that, the D, chemical and coolant containment, all coolants, lubricants, and water treatment chemicals must be stored with secondary containment sufficient to prevent discharge to soil, groundwater, or stormwater systems. And then E, the water use transparency. Unless connected to a municipal water system, the operator shall submit a simple annual summary of total water use and any changes to cooling equipment.
It's very good.
For Monica's sake, because she didn't get this, the additional reporting may be requested only if required by IDNR or if water use conflicts arise. Then the F is compliance with state requirements. Nothing in this section supersedes Iowa DNR authority. All facilities must comply with Iowa Code Chapter 455B and any required IDNR water allocation or discharge permit. That was section 7. And then 7A, this is new, was not in the draft. It would be probably section 7A as I'm not really sure as to a better place to put it. The sanitary facilities. And then this is for discussion as to, which of the three you all prefer. The commission may consider requirements regarding connection to public sewer and water, such as three that are here. Connection required only where municipal service is available. Connection required if the site is within a defined distance of service, or a connection required unless IDNR approves a private system.
Can we just require them to connect to public water and sewer?
That might be prohibitive.
That helps put them where they're more appropriate.
I know, but they might sue you because it's prohibited. Or sue Jackson County because it's prohibited. If you make
What
it,
if we-
and that is the only, that's their only option.
But if we took the third option where it says connection required unless IDNR approves a private system. Pretty much makes it that way, right? I mean, we're requiring to go municipal unless DNR says they could possibly do it.
If you'd be all right with that, Brian, I'd be all right with that. Then they'd have to jump through that hoop to make sure they did it right.
Yeah, they'd have to put in approved private system in the
Our
DNR.
preference will be connect to the public, but if that's the compromise we can make, we might be okay with that. So,
A bit of middle ground.
Gives them the I guess.
What if they say they don't need water and sewer? Like the one at Springville said they were not.
Good point. Should we? Yeah,
What's there to connect to?
Well, that's what I'm getting at, they'd have to put their own, if they were gonna have,
But
Yeah.
I mean, if we're requiring them to connect.
Right.
But if there's nothing, I mean, we can't,
Make them have sanitary facilities be beyond a porta potty.
right?
Yeah, that's good.
When connection is required unless DNR approves. I don't know.
Is there a standard on when they, you know, some kind of standard in zoning that they would have? There'd be a certain size or a certain amount of people there that they would have to have a permanent sanitary system?
At a zoning or a health department.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Is there?
It's probably health department.
They want to research.
Yeah,
Or drill a well. I mean, they'd have to do that too, right?
They have to get water
Yeah.
somewhere in. Unless they could hook up, like Brian was saying, unless they could hook up to the public.
What's public
Out in the middle of.
in the middle of nowhere?
Well, that's my point. That was my point is,
Yeah.
but that was also his point is you'd have to put it somewhere close to where, you know,
It
you
was.
could hook it up.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's not where most of them are gonna wanna put it because the substations don't sit there. And that's what they're going for is either existing substation or a place where they could have a substation built.
So my question on this, zoning doesn't require the septic. That comes under the health department, correct?
correct.
So if they're gonna build it, they've got to put in a zoning permit. Zoning department has to contact the health department. So should this even be in the zoning? In the zoning purview?
Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe not.
They'd only need the water if they were using their.
Because it's not really,
Water.
yeah, right. That's not sanitary facilities.
And it could be left in there as a sanitary facilities talking point and then per county health department regulations.
Yeah, add that.
If you can do it
Yeah.
that way.
That, I think that would be better because I don't think we really have the authority to do that for, you know, to require that.
Hey, let's do that.
That way.
Good idea.
Super. Moving on to section 11A. This would be a new addition would be structural standards. There are A, permanent construction, all principal buildings and equipment enclosures shall be constructed on a permanent concrete foundation. B, the condition of the structures. Structures shall be maintained in good repair and kept free of deterioration, corrosion, or defects that could create safety hazards or operational failures. C, prohibited structures. Cargo containers, railroad cars, semi-trailers, mobile storage units, or similar portable structures shall not be used to house computing equipment, electrical components, cooling systems, or any critical element of the facility.
When I visited the site in, was it Marshall County with Lori? They did have containers where they were storing their computers.
Yeah, they're portable. So that would prohibit that kind of thing here.
I'll be even facilities that computers,
And-
working computers. in them.
Yes, yes. And they had.
Prohibit a hoop building like the one that burned down.
Mhm. The building, it looked like a trailer. With, you know, which could easily be picked up. The floor was, you know, plywood. It was not any kind of flooring except just the bare plywood, so it was very, very minimum to just operate, and it was cold. in there.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Mhm.
And that was March, April?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, they want it cold because those computers, there's a lot of heat out.
but the employees were also cold.
Yeah. That's, yeah.
And I did not like how it looked, personally. I thought it was an eyesore. Yes, it was in the middle of nowhere, but if that was my road to drive up and down every day, I was sick of it.
Right, yes, so we could add this in also. Very good with that.
I am.
We moved through that real quick. So, another talking point, as we're going to skip around again. And I just picked out some of the basics that we can just then build off of. So going to number 2. The setback.
Section 5.
Oh, thank you. Section 5. Yes.
That's what section.
Section 5, setback standards. Okay. So I just put kind of a middle ground as to what a lot of other counties are doing at the moment. We could keep it as it is in the draft. Move one way or the other.
Anybody else think we should increase number 1 a little bit?
Yeah, I don't like this, I think that's too close. I would say at least 1,000. That's.
1,000 from any existing residential dwelling, school, park, or place of worship.
Yeah, that's what I would feel more comfortable.
Don't add cemetery in
And
Okay, and was this kind of the same with the wind? I mean. Weren't we concerned about livestock buildings, because this does not say anything for lives, I mean, it's residential dwelling, do we care?
you're gonna have the hum, that low frequency.
But I'm saying, that's not, if we're concerned about that, that is not one of these that it's next to. that, I mean, I don't know why I don't know why it would just be those 4 places. There are other places. Maybe a daycare facility, maybe something like that. That how do we include more than just these 4?
If you take out residential, so just changes to any existing dwelling, does that help include more things? And then you could add something for livestock.
Buildings. Plain buildings, any buildings.
You could say something including any buildings. Existing buildings, including residential dwelling.
Which is kind of duplicating. I mean, a dwelling is a building, but I mean, did we try and word it that way in the wind ordinance to cover everything without only being specifically listing things?
Right. And we could,
Something about the use regularly by livestock or people, or it was something really general that encompassed all that.
we could,
That got less important in the wind ordinance when we went to property lines for all setbacks. So it didn't matter as much what exactly was on the property if you're measuring from the property line in the wind ordinance. Cause I think why it's like that.
We should probably look back and see what the wind says. You had that, Ben?
Okay.
It's 2,000 feet from the property.
No, I'm just saying, the wording on the bill, what the building. Yeah, the distance to me is. We're not talking apples to apples like.
Yeah.
It's a different. Breed of cat, anything here.
Brian's right, once it went to property lines.
Must be something more to, no.
I think that a lot of that got cleared out when that went to property lines, the other language got removed.
Did it, okay. That's what you're saying, okay.
Just do that.
So mirror setbacks. For from the wind turbine, including the property lines, the public right of way, and the. Communication and electrical lines. Just property lines and public right of way.
Communication and electrical lines would make a difference in this case, I wouldn't think.
It's gonna need to be closer to the
Yeah,
property lines than that.
they need electrical.
So I mean, I don't think that's a clause we really want to put in there.
No. So mirror the setbacks from the wind turbine. The wind energy. At 1,000 foot or at 2,000 foot?
I would say 1,000 is a good number. My opinion. I think it should be more than 500.
Yes, yes.
I would think if you want 1,000 from from your buildings and maybe 500 from property lines. And use 500. Use 500 in number 2 and number 3, maybe.
With that, because that would stop them from buying a 1 acre piece, like what was tried before. Because it's gonna have to be far enough from property lines then, where we have to buy a bigger chunk, we're gonna pick the right zoning district. That's coming up. So we go 1,500, 500. And figure out something for livestock in there in the first one.
Yeah, we need, I thought, yeah. I guess we took that out, but I can't remember what the wording was that we took out.
Inhabited structures, if I remember right.
Occupied structures, wasn't it? Occupied structures.
Yeah. What we used in. So instead of saying all principal structures, you just say all occupied structures. Including enclosures, including generating systems, following minimum setbacks. And then put in number 1,000 feet from any occupied structure. Period. Without putting residential dwelling, school, park, or place of worship. I mean, does that cover everything? Occupied structure?
I think that would include livestock too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
people, I mean, we could eliminate the rest of those. Or we,
But we add cemetery on there, right? That's
oh,
not, it's kind of occupied.
Yeah.
living occupancy. Yeah, we should, yeah, you should probably put the word in cemetery.
Occupied structures and cemetery. Cemetery. That would be the 1,000 feet, 500 feet from all property lines, 500 feet from any sinkhole, well, creek, river, or IDNR regulated surface water feature. And then for B.
Everybody okay with that? They want something different?
B, leave the adjustments and additional requirements. The Board of Adjustment may require greater setbacks where site conditions, topography, or facility orientation indicate that additional distance is necessary to achieve compliance with noise, vibration, or safety standards. The BOA shall include written findings of facts supporting any modification to the standard setbacks, referencing applicable studies or modeling data in the public record. Where multiple setback standards apply, the greater distance shall govern. And number 4, setbacks shall be measured from the nearest structure or equipment enclosure to the respective property line or feature. That's still all flow.
We gotta make sure 4 matches what we
And just
got in the other part.
Yeah, occupied.
Hey Becca, I'm gonna drop off. I just got to Boone, so I will be there in person next month.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Right.
Okay. Back to number 4, aren't we talking about where it says nearest structure or equipment closure in that from the facility itself? with respect to property line or feature? Which, what are you talking about there? We're talking about. I'm gonna call it data center because it's close, easier. to
Yeah,
say.
it is, yeah.
And then we're talking about the neighboring properties, facilities, buildings? Which one are we talking about there?
1,000 feet would be the data center to an occupied structure. 500 feet would be the data center to a property line.
Yeah, but when it says from the nearest structure or equipment enclosure, is that their nearest structure or equipment enclosure or the neighbor's nearest structure or equipment enclosure?
The data centers.
The data center is right. So we don't need to really change that wording in number 4, right?
To the respective property line or instead of, oh, I guess feature does kind of cover occupied structure.
Well, if we just do, well. Yeah, we would have to put the occupied structures instead of features. That makes sense?
Or you could just take 4 out of there because we already
I was wondering.
addressed it in this previous section that we were just looking at.
That's true, July. 1, 2, and 3.
I think we just strike.
Sorry, 4. Yeah.
Okay, that's.
And doesn't number 3 could be moved to the front too.
Yeah.
Could number 3 be moved to that section that we just,
To section 5. Oh, it is,
that I didn't,
it is, it's.
but
You think it should be moved to A? It's still under setbacks.
but that's the Board of Adjustment can do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not referring to coming here. That's the next board under this.
Mm-hmm.
So should that be something upfront right from the beginning? Is that necessary to have it worded for us and not there? Like we just struck this other one. Should that be moved forward and strike it from here?
Yeah.
Sure, it's necessary.
Well, that's why I don't know, why is it necessary, why is it worded here? I mean, if it's necessary here, it should be necessary.
I think this is where multiple setback standards apply, so they would have to refer them.
But that's kind of here too, I mean, there could be multiple.
Like it's a minimum setback. Yeah.
Because, for example, the property line to the property line. If they put it right on the edge of their property to the next property line could be the 500 feet. But then they would still have to abide by the 1,000 feet to the house. Am I reading it right that way? So that could be
Both
multiple.
places. Because it could be multiple setbacks, so it could be
Setbacks.
places. Board of Adjustment and.
Both places.
Can it be both places or is it necessary? Both? I don't know. I'm just asking, but I like how that one is spelled out there for sure.
Mhm.
Then there's no questioning if somebody would say, well, we're 500 from the property line. But if the other person's house is right on the the minimum setback on the property line, it could be under the 1,000 feet.
Then they'd still have to abide by the 1,000 feet from the building.
Right, so that's why is it said on the Board of Adjustment, but not on ours?
I'm guessing that's their I don't know for sure. I'm just thinking we leave it there so that they have. I'm not familiar how the Board of Adjustment works everything, but maybe it's, needs to be there for them to. I'm trying to figure out a scenario where. You know. Who's north, south, east, or west of them, which one is the restrictive. Most restrictive setback. No, I can't sit here and do the math.
Yeah,
And we don't know this, is this just, you know, kind of for information that it's informational, that it's just spelled out that way, or are there some cases?
Yeah, I don't
Where
know.
it could,
That's why I'm saying if we leave it there, they have the option to be able to use it.
but what if it never
Then it's
makes?
no point. It doesn't make any difference whether it's there or not.
Okay,
At least it's there if they need it.
maybe I can try to find an example of that.
right, why that is spelled out like that, I mean, if it's, like I said, is it just just be for informational,
Mhm.
like I will check. But why would
Well,
we actually?
so- Maybe I'm not reading this right, but so when we say 500 feet from all under minimum setbacks, 500 feet from all property lines. But we're saying 1,000 from. Occupied structure. Doesn't that just imply the greater?
That's what I'm saying, so
Yeah.
why is it why is it why is it in that next one for informational purposes when it seems the obvious? I mean, why is it there? And if it's there, why isn't it here?
Because it still has to be 500 feet from a property line.
Right,
So you can't move it far enough away from that person's building this way. So you're 1,000 feet away from that building, but you're too close to this other property line over here. You gotta still be 500 feet away from there also.
Right. if there's any instance where that would apply, or what they're referring
Yeah.
to, if you can, maybe.
I think in that case, something like how Laura put in so many diagrams, I think the diagram might be helpful in that case.
If you find something,
Yeah, I'll look.
right? Or even like just. Like the diagram that's 500 from the property line, but it's not 500 from the house or the dwelling or the structure with a big old X through it because it doesn't meet that.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Hopping back to section 4.
You're gonna hit section 3 also.
Yes.
Okay.
Section 4. With the pre-application conference, zoning administrator, county engineer, and environmental health prior to filing an application. Currently for like the subdivision ordinance, the applicant is encouraged to meet with the zoning administrator and county engineer. So the subdivision ordinance also needs to be redone, and environmental health isn't included specifically in the ordinance at this time. But just for interdepartmental review, it's good to have all 3 departments have a meeting with the applicants.
So why is it said encouraged instead of shall or required to meet. Why is it just encouraged? So then that could be optional to them,
Or we can change it.
or we can change it, okay? Do you feel it should be required for all three?
Definitely, yes, all three.
Makes sense.
I mean, it makes sense to me,
Yeah.
at least,
Would make the.
at least these people
application
know that
smooth.
they're all covered,
Right.
right?
That avoids
Rather than,
them spending money before they know the ordinance
Yeah,
and claiming that they had an interest because they
Right.
spent the money.
that they went, I saw a zoning administrator, and they said it was all okay.
Mhm, mhm.
And then,
And then-
yes.
County engineer says, well, so everybody says it's okay before they get too far into the process.
And then the health department said maybe.
Changing that to
Shall meet.
Yeah,
Or is required, or the applicant is required.
Same thing, either way.
yeah.
There's just one word. Shall.
And then the application submittal,
Shall, it's a shall.
requesting the site plan, technical studies applicable, including noise analysis, hydrogeologic study, and utility load confirmation prepared for section 6 through 8 of this ordinance. Upon acceptance of a complete application, the zoning office shall prepare and publish notice of the public hearing 10 days prior, in accordance with the Iowa Code 335.6. And chapter 4, courtesy notices to adjacent property owners may also be provided by regular mail.
Can we change that?
Yes.
Then they shall be provided.
Yeah.
And do you want a buffer?
How far do you think?
Currently, we do 500 foot.
Setbacks than that.
Is it the same thing we have for the windmill?
I believe it's 1,000 for the wind.
It doesn't seem right.
And if we have shall in all of these others, that other one can be shall instead of required also. Yeah. I mean, there are two other places where it's shall, so. Yep.
1 mile from the property line of the proposed site parcel of land.
With 1 mile.
So everybody within a mile circumference of the data structure is going to be notified.
That's
If
the
we,
wind, if we mirror the,
If we change that, then, yeah, it seems like a lot, but
Really isn't.
could be.
could be.
Mhm.
A mile's not very far if something big's coming that you want to know about.
Right. Just depends on the density of the neighborhood.
Well, as I say, because you could be close to a subdivision or part of the town. Town you have to, or maybe full town.
Cascade. Yeah, there's one proposed in Cascade that's gonna plow it right down there and next to a residential area.
It's industrial.
Yeah.
Right next to.
500 foot in Leisure Lake. Depends out the log and those.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, right, yeah.
So,
What?
If we're mirroring it, do we want to put the mile, keep it a mile? The mirroring.
I think it's I haven't been saying a whole lot, but I think that keeping this ordinance and the wind ordinance as close together as possible is a good thing,
Yeah, yeah.
just for, you know, they support each other that way, you know, for a legal argument,
Mhm.
More consistent.
consistency, yeah.
And also then the application fee and the associated escrow for third-party review as determined by the zoning administrator will also be submitted. In addition, in the completeness and review timeline, on the scheduling and hearing upon acceptance as complete, HDCF application shall be scheduled for a public hearing before the Board of Adjustment no sooner than 45 days from the date of acceptance. This extended period allows for interdepartmental review, technical evaluation, public notice, and coordination with affected utility providers. With all of our other applications, as long as they meet the deadline, it will go into the next either zoning commission or Board of Adjustment meeting. This one just gives a little bit more timeline and guidelines just to get everybody's ducks in a row, kind of.
Or you
Need to
comfortable with?
switch that back to. Get the number, get that, sorry, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
This, I
Okay,
mean, this is, falls more on you, Becca, than,
yes,
is that too tight of a window or?
well, no sooner than 45 days. So it doesn't really,
Doesn't say it can be longer.
doesn't say it can't be, well, the county shall act on the application within 90 days of acceptance. Which 45 to 90 days.
90 days,
Reasonable.
90 days is the very end process, though. It's gotta go before us and all that within the 90 days. The supervisors make the final approval within 90 days, right? Is that the way I'm reading?
County shall
Act on the application, does that mean the supervisors are acting on the application or we are acting on the application? Are we the county or are they?
Shall we clarify that to say
I would add that the supervisors or the county, so yeah, clarify that.
to the zoning commission shall act on the application within 90 days?
Okay.
Were we always thinking about making sure it said Jackson County zoning administrator, Jackson County Board of Supervisors?
We did it in the wind ordinance.
Yeah, I don't know, I
We
mean,
did that in the wind ordinance.
I know we did, and so that's why I'm just asking again, I don't know how
It probably should, yeah.
picky we want to be.
We
but
will be
we
that
were
picky, yes.
specific.
Unless you put county in the definition. Unless you put county in the
County.
definition.
Right, yes.
And again, you know, the Board of Supervisors or the
Yeah.
Jackson County Board of Supervisors.
Yes. Actually, I'm not so sure there is definitions.
Board of, Board of Adjustment is. Board of Adjustment's the only one in there.
Yeah, yeah, I just saw that. Good review. And then the third party review, the 90-day review period shall be paused during an authorized third party technical review or while awaiting required documentation from the applicant or utility provider. That's kind of the same like with the floodplain, if there's an Army Corps of Engineers or the DNR. So if something gets held up, then clock stops. And I believe all costs for third-party review shall be reasonable, documented, and limited to actual billed expenses for services rendered. I believe that's fairly similar to the wind energy also.
On that, I put an independent professional to review.
The public hearing, so they will be heard by the Board of Adjustment, but they'll also be heard by the zoning commission. Will be rezoned, so possibly, potentially. So that might need to be stated in there also. Or would it be best to go back to 3 before we hit some of that? Section 3, the applicability and zoning districts. It requires substantial electrical infrastructure, generate continuous operational noise, and may utilize cooling systems that affect surrounding environmental conditions. To ensure compatibility with neighboring land uses and to maintain public safety, this section establishes where such facilities may be considered in Jackson County. So prohibited include A1 Ag District, floodplain overlay district, wetland or conservation overlay district, and then the burial mound overlay is noted that it may require additional review during the application process. And we may reach out to a qualified archaeologist, which would be the Iowa Office of Archaeology, to confirm that construction will not disturb the protected resources.
I need to back up there. So in the first paragraph, just to be totally accurate, it should probably read high-density computing facilities require substantial electric infrastructure. That's true. And then it should say may generate continuous operational noises or noise, because some of these outfits are set up that they shut down and, you know, they can be turned on and off. So it's not true that every one of them does continuous noise.
Right.
So let's be accurate about that.
Thank you. Everybody good with the,
So we're saying it's a prohibited, in the prohibited locations, it's prohibited in A1 agricultural district. So are we saying that it's gotta be, the zoning has to be changed from A1?
That's what we did at Springville.
Okay, I just wanna make sure that I got that in my head correct, so, because they're all gonna be.
That's
all-
what, that's
they're all
what
gonna
South
be in the
Springville is, yeah,
It was ag and they
Yeah.
wanted to rezone it.
correct.
Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure that I was getting that right.
Yep.
Okay. So if it's an A1, it has to be rezoned to something else.
yeah, so that's not changing from what
What we, yeah.
what we
yeah.
have, yes, did in the
okay.
past. We're just adding then floodplain overlay and then the wetland or conservation overlay.
So we're going basically to the allowable locations in B, to M1 or M2.
Yes.
Or C1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, it is, listed in the drafts as a special exception. The draft proposed zoning ordinance is changing the Board of Adjustment language. They will all be conditional use permits. But for now, until that changes, it's special exception in this draft. So once it goes through the zoning commission to be rezoned if necessary to the M1, M2, or C1, then it would go to the Board of Adjustment for the conditional use permit.
I thought our zoning ordinance got moved,
That will be,
or is it gotta go through 3 hearings?
the first hearing is November 25th.
Oh, I thought I saw. Supervisor's meeting that it was approved. Whatever.
The public hearing was approved.
Okay,
Yeah. So many approval processes.
yeah, okay.
And then the siting requirements, utility access, sites must have viable access to electrical and broadband infrastructure without requiring service extensions through existing residential neighborhoods or environmentally sensitive areas. And emergency access, sites must provide safe all-weather access for fire, EMS, and utility vehicle.
Is environmentally sensitive area in the definitions?
Yeah. Thank you, check also. No. Thank you. Put that. Anything on section 3 then?
Again, I'm being picky, like we were when we went through this. Some of these places, Board of Adjustment, parentheses, BOA. Some places it's just BOA. Can you do like you did before and, word search all of them or whatever you need to do and make all of them the same?
Yeah.
Like, for example, right there in B. Just because of BOA. So one way or the other, in the definitions, I see Board of Adjustment has BOA in parentheses.
Everything's
So
on B.
everything could be BOA if you want to.
Mhm, yeah.
This is kind of picky too,
That's okay.
but, under, that's fairly consistent, when you have like. I'm at the bottom of section 3, D, citing requirements in bold. And then utility access and emergency access, is it the same font or whatever as the body of the explanation?
Mhm.
I don't know if you underline it or put it different, like italics or something to set it apart.
Yes.
I get it, make it easier to read.
Right.
It's difficult to read, but.
And again, the same for the HDCF. Because like up there in C, the 4 initials aren't behind it, but then down in 4B,
Yep.
initials are behind it. So whichever way you want to do that, or whoever is supposed to make that decision.
Yep. And I think where we left off at 4, public hearing. But I think we need to add in there. The zoning commission process,
Mhm.
if rezoning is necessary.
So that's all under section 4, application and review process, so. Should that say? Under public hearing, that. We shall or may. Be heard for the Board of Adjustment, so, I mean, does the Board of Adjustment? Have to. Have a public hearing? For every one of these, if there's no. Review process,
So, rezoning.
or for the application, they don't, do they? If they applied for something and we approved that, it doesn't go to the Board of Adjustment every time, right?
You would be. For the rezoning, and once it got rezoned, then they're the ones hearing the application and approving the application. For the.
I thought it went
gathering.
from us to the supervisors and that was it.
No, because they would need the conditional use permit.
So it only goes through us if they need the land rezoned for, otherwise it bypasses us altogether.
And goes to Board of Adjustment as a conditional use.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I believe wind turbine's the same.
So in that public hearing part. We should be listed as may. Have to,
For the zoning commission,
Yeah.
it should, may have to,
may have to be have a public hearing for the zoning commission.
yes, if it's, if a rezoning
If
is
the zoning
required.
is required.
Mhm. Yeah, I will get that added in. We've covered up everything until section 8. Before a permit is issued, the utility provider shall submit a load confirmation letter verifying that electrical service to the proposed HDCF can be provided without materially reducing service quality for existing customers. This letter shall confirm that adequate electrical capacity is available or can be made available through upgrades, and that any required upgrades or extensions will be completed at the operator's expense, consistent with the utility provider's policies.
So.
I don't know.
Electric guy. So,
Well, yeah, it all makes sense. I don't know why we have to have it in there, but I mean, I guess that's good.
This was a common theme throughout ordinances.
This is stuff that's getting done before they even decide to come to you, though.
Right.
Yeah.
I've
leave it
read,
in.
I guess I've read in places where they've come in and after they're in, improvements need to be made that get passed on to the community.
I can't speak for Alliant, but that wouldn't be a.
Wouldn't be here.
For,
No.
no.
Okay.
We do a thorough engineering study and so, but I can't, I can't speak for Alliant, and Alliant has just as much ability to come in and, and support one of these and supply power to it, as we do. So leave it in.
Emergency power and grid event coordination. Applicant shall submit an emergency power shutoff plan showing the location of disconnect switches and providing 24-hour emergency contact information for both the operator and the utility provider. Pretty much kind of mirrors what is also in the wind turbine.
And who do they submit that to?
Yeah. Add. Add zoning administrator to that. If a power event, equipment failure, or abnormal load condition at the facility impacts the surrounding distribution system, the operator shall notify the zoning administrator, county engineer, and local fire department as soon as practical and no later than 24 hours after the event. And the operator shall cooperate with the utility provider and emergency responders before resuming full operations following any system disturbance.
So if you have it in your hands and you have the contact operator, all of that, and you're not working or the courthouse isn't open, will that information be somewhere else for emergency personnel?
They're gonna get it too, right?
I don't know, I'm asking, is that in there?
That's the way I heard it.
The operator shall notify the zoning administrator, county engineer,
And local fire
local
department.
fire department as soon as practical.
They gotta notify all three of them.
But the zoning administrator and the county engineer are not going to be working at the same time. If it were a weekend,
Right,
And if we just say as soon as practical and no later than 24 hours after the event.
What do you do though?
Huh?
Not much more you can do.
No, I just wonder, I thought that we had, that it should go basically to the 911 system if there was an event of, did we have it that they needed to report to a 24-hour operational emergency service or something?
Yeah, for the wind, I think.
What's
For
that?
the wind thing we did, yeah.
Yes.
the wind one states a CUX shall be considered a catastrophic failure should it become inoperable due to fire, natural disaster, severe weather event, or other serious structural or mechanical failure that causes the unit to be inoperable. In the case of such catastrophic failure, a written plan shall be submitted to the Jackson County Board of Supervisors within 30 days of the event. The plan shall not extend beyond 120 days from the day of the event, rendering the CUX inoperable. A concerted effort for cleanup must be notable within 45 days. Penalties for violation of these timelines will start 1 day after the missed deadline.
This is kind of different.
Yeah, it's way
Yeah,
different.
very
Yeah.
different,
That's catastrophic.
Yeah,
This-
yeah.
This is like a broken control system or something. Compared to that.
Would it be feasible to give it to an emergency management coordinator or whatever his title is, when getting it? An office like that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I thought we chose like the police state, you know, like,
somebody who has a phone on the weekends.
right, right.
I think it's okay.
I think we're talking about something completely
Yeah.
different here though, because it's just a power event. Or equipment failure. Really, that's only their problem. Not,
Well,
We're not
unless
talking
they
about-
affects like neighboring
yeah,
areas.
we're not talking about the utility provider. Because the utility provider will
Or
correct their problems as quickly as possible for if everybody's on electricity.
Right.
or if the equipment failure caused a fire within, and they put it out, do we care?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean,
Well, we care, but not from a power
Not from,
perspective.
not from a zoning perspective.
Yeah, well, yeah, but zoning should care because the fire, would have the possibility of, toxins and contaminations, that sort of thing. So from that aspect.
Well, yeah.
Zoning would be concerned, but from a power supply issue, I wouldn't think zoning would be.
No, that's
Or
not-
can it be instead of, I mean, I'm just thinking, a lot can happen in 24 hours. Can it be at the time of the event discovered, or, I mean, I don't know how you could word it differently. Or is that not necessary?
I mean, I don't know what can happen in these kind of
I don't
situations,
either.
so I don't know if it's a normal situation, it no later than 24 hours is about as good as you're gonna be able to do.
Because they're generally manned during business hours.
But nobody's going to be there
Yeah,
you can't, I mean. I still question how somebody would sit in a building without running water or a restroom in Iowa when it's below zero. Back to the sanitary thing.
Yes.
No, they said there would be nothing in that kind of thing. It would be porta potties. How do they know pretty soon? Yeah, I don't know.
And the water lines of the place we went to it, we were outside the fence, closer to the road.
Well, they weren't even on the seven.
They weren't even on the outside.
The line, and I think this is a. People just all don't
Yeah.
generally handle, within the system.
That's what I'm saying.
Getting into one.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with getting rid of that section too.
Okay, it seems like it's just more than what we're.
Not really necessary statement.
All of the.
I just, you guys, I'm.
Most
No, more
important is
about-
the power company, they're probably gonna know something's going on.
It seems like.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
We shall strike two.
You might be able to actually strike.
One is not,
One is all right.
not necessarily a bad. thing. No. And I just don't think the operator necessarily. You know, three, I'm not sure three is necessary.
If I was working on this and then we had problems, the last thing I'm gonna wanna do is call the zoning administrator.
Yeah.
When I'm fighting the battle here.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to the zoning administrator, but what's she gonna be able to do?
Right.
Truly.
Call somebody else.
Who do I call?
Yeah. What, well, then what's it say on the emergency power shuttle?
Yeah.
So let's keep one and take out two and three.
That would make sense to me.
Yep.
Would it be N3? Cooperate with the utility provider before presuming full operations following any system disturbance or? Is that not necessary?
Well, I think that's gonna happen. I don't think we have to let, you know, we have to write down, that's gonna happen naturally.
Right. And if it doesn't, then it moves into the decommissioning phase.
Right.
B, on-site backup and auxiliary power systems, backup generators, battery systems, and other auxiliary power equipment shall comply with all noise, fire safety, and emission standards of this ordinance and applicable state and federal codes. Routine testing of backup systems shall be conducted in a manner that minimizes off-site noise impact.
I'd say.
And then service agreements, a copy of any power supply service or interconnection agreement with a utility provider shall be filed with the zoning administrator before the facility begins operation and updated within 30 days of any change in ownership or operator. The agreement shall be used for reference and coordination purposes only and shall not create regulatory obligations beyond those established in this ordinance.
It's fine.
On to section 9. Your response plan prior to permit issuance, the applicant shall submit a fire response plan approved in writing by the nearest fire department having jurisdiction. The plan shall include access routes and gate codes for emergency vehicles, location of hydrants, water sources, and fire suppression connections, emergency contact and after-hours procedures, and facility-specific shutdown protocols for electrical and cooling systems.
Should B in the prior section be rolled into section 9?
I'd say it would fit perfectly.
Good call.
Good call. Fire protection and suppression systems, all buildings and equipment enclosures shall include automatic fire detection and suppression systems designed, installed, and maintained in accordance with National Fire Protection Association Standards 75 and 76 as amended Each facility shall obtain annual certification from a qualified fire protection professional, verifying that fire detection and suppression systems are operational and compliant. Certification reports shall be submitted to the zoning administrator and local fire department for record keeping.
Does that need to say at their expense?
Would not hurt. Electrical disconnects and emergency control. Clearly labeled externally accessible electrical disconnect switches shall be installed at each primary service entrance to allow emergency shutdown of power. Switch locations shall be shown on the fire response plan and marked in the field.
Where'd you get that one? Out of the same,
Same as the prior.
yeah.
And what do we mean by externally accessible?
In case they can't get into the building.
Yeah.
Inside the fence, outside the fence?
That's a good point.
Because there's, once you get into big power. There's stuff that the average guy, you're not gonna let touch, you're not letting.
Yeah,
the
that's
fire
right.
department in there. To throw a disconnect or a switch gear.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that too.
So then should they have some kind of access combination or?
I'm not sure what the best way to do that is, but I just know that you're not gonna send
No.
the fire department over to. Once you're dealing with big power, then bad things can happen.
So then utility company?
Yeah, well, you know. There are safeguards installed in all of this, it should take care of that. Brian was saying, you know, I'm not comfortable with saying, you know. That, you know, you have somebody come running in there and just shut off the power, you know, without knowing the situation. That's gonna be being handled through SCADA or. You know, the system set up between the power supplier and the data. Company, but
So it'll just-
again, I'm just talking from my perspective. I don't know, you know,
it'll,
scary, it's scary stuff.
yeah.
Arc flash can be really bad.
Yep.
Is it strikeable?
I'll let somebody else decide that. But I will say that I'm uncomfortable with that.
And if it's already resolved at the grid system, it's not necessarily needed on site.
And that's why I was asking, where did you get that? Is that like standard language for other counties or?
About the county,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
The problem it's gonna be is if there's an emergency where the fire department is called. Fire department's not gonna know if the power's on. or not.
Well, we've already addressed.
And they're gonna stay back, assuming the power is on.
Yeah, well, we've already addressed, you know, fire response plan up in A.
Yeah,
And so the fire department that's gonna be responding is gonna have that laid out already. So I'm not sure why we need to put that in there. You know, if the company, you know, deems it necessary to have a switch that the fire department can throw, then they're gonna be they're gonna be getting it up here in A.
It would already be in the plan.
Yeah, it'll already be in their fire response plan, so I just don't know if that's necessary.
So Mike, can I ask as a fireman, if this plan was on file, where would it be? Like, what would happen? Okay, the call comes in. Will everybody know to go to the office and look at that? I'm just asking.
No.
How, so
not
I'm
in
just,
the small local fire department.
no, so then how would anybody know? How would we know about, I'm just asking, how would we know about that? Or like, is
Well,
that
hopefully,
you'd covered at a meeting?
yeah,
And then.
and I'm
everybody-
gonna guess,
No, I'm just asking, I don't know.
I'm gonna guess what would happen if one of these was put somewhere, the local fire department would go tour, get a guided tour from the company people, this is what you need to do in case of emergency. You take everybody there. And you hope when it happens, those people that were at that meeting are the ones that are there,
And the ones that are called.
you know.
So if you came in like, if it's all like fire, but it's an electrical, what do you do? Just watch it?
Put your thumb up and you stay that far away from it. You can see, if you can see it, there are past your thumb, you pull.
So like, if
You stay away.
Right, that's, I mean, you can't do anything.
You can't do anything.
You can't do anything other than keep other people away.
Yeah, the electricity itself is gonna be shut off further down the line, and then you're gonna still be dealing with a fire, but you won't be dealing with the active electrical, electricity fire right after. That's what they would be expected to deal with, the fire after the power was put out.
So if a passerby came by and saw this, they'll call 911, and then what happens?
Well, the call goes to dispatcher and then it's got, then they notify the fire department or other emergency personnel. And then hopefully they have the information of which power supplier is
See,
the
that's,
one they need to contact, and then they need to contact the power supplier, and then they need to
power
contact their
supplier.
lineman people.
The power supplier would already know. Yeah, I mean, again,
They would know.
I can't speak for Alliant, but we would already know. I mean, we would know.
you would know that something was amiss
Yeah, almost instantly.
instantly. Okay, that's why I was getting at before,
Yeah.
does that have to be on record with 911?
Mhm.
Like, is it Alliant or is it REC? I'm just saying, so that is right there,
Mhm.
but
like, is there some kind of generic fire response plan form? I mean, how do you know what needs to be in it?
Oh, I'm guessing these companies will know what needs to be
Okay,
in.
like, it's in their best interest for it not to burn down. So.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just asking if we've not covered it already, but like we were. With the wind ordinance, we needed numbers and things posted, names and numbers, is that in here somewhere?
yeah, I think
Okay.
that's.
Well, and C could be taken out because we have the fire protection and suppression systems also. So if there's the suppression system. And that should be alleviated to also the need for the firemen to go in and let that.
Well, now this suppression is always gonna keep the fire suppressed, not extinguishing. Okay, so it's designed, and I'm gonna guess the suppression system, in a rural area like this. I don't know what they're gonna try to use. They're gonna use some kind of dry chemical somewhere and then, if it does, if they've ever had to use a fire extinguisher. Doesn't last very long.
There is some clean fire suppression systems now that are made for just dousing a room without, wrecking the equipment.
Okay. And it may extinguish it. But a suppression is called suppression because it's not.
The problem could be
put it
is
out.
if you still have electrical issues,
Reigniting.
you might still have problems. But
Okay, if we take out C,
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
D, containment and hazardous materials protection. All storage of coolants, fuels, or battery systems shall include secondary containment designed to prevent release into soil, surface water, or storm drainage. Containment systems shall comply with applicable NFPA 30 and NFPA 855 where applicable.
It's reasonable.
Mhm.
Inspections and maintenance, the operator shall conduct annual fire safety inspections and maintain written records for county review upon request. Any system found non-compliant shall be repaired or replaced within 30 days notice unless a shorter time frame is deemed necessary by the fire department for public safety.
Can I just ask another question? So up here, this nearest fire department in number A, So, this came up because of our township trustee business. And, I'm just going to say, for example, they mentioned that Baldwin's fire department is getting so small that they almost have to use Macokota all the time. But if this was something out in Baldwin area, would they automatically tell Macokota then? Would they share that information with them?
Yeah.
I mean, be like before a fire, so that Macokota would also have the opportunity to go look at something like that, or how would that be handled?
Oh, I would think so, yeah, I would think all would focus on.
Something like that,
Yeah.
okay.
Something at that size, yes, yeah. Yeah, I think they have an automatic,
Mutual aid.
mutual aid, automatic mutual aid systems. I think probably. Well,
Well, they were saying that, like, if it goes too much further north, like up in our area, Baldwin doesn't even come, even if it's in their area, it just goes to Macokota right away.
oh, I don't know how they handle it.
So I mean, like I said, that was being discussed at our with Lisa, at a meeting that she had just been at, and that's what they had said, so it's like, that they wanted to go, it would just automatically.
Section 10, waste and hazardous materials, disposal requirements. All solid and hazardous waste, including but not limited to servers, solvents, damaged or worn parts, batteries, and coolants must be removed from the site within 15 days of generation and disposed of in accordance with all applicable local, state, and federal regulations, including Iowa Code Chapter 455B in environmental protection.
I would change servers to e-waste.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, sure.
That'll cover a lot more bases there.
Yeah.
Proof of disposal, proof of lawful disposal of or recycling shall be submitted to the zoning administrator within 30 days of replacement or removal. Failure to provide such documentation constitutes a zoning violation and may result in enforcement under this article. Hazardous waste documentation. Operators shall maintain all hazardous waste receipts on file for a minimum of 5 years and make them available to the zoning administrator upon request. The county may forward documentation to the Iowa Department of Natural Resources for verification or enforcement.
Do you put I in front of you?
Yes, I was just gonna say, it's now, I keep seeing all the ones that could just have the parentheses written out there. Enforcement authority. Violations of this section are enforceable under Jackson County zoning ordinance, chapter 7, enforcement and penalties, and Iowa Code 455B.307. All illegal disposal of solid waste. The county may coordinate with the Iowa DNR for investigation or enforcement of any suspected environmental violations. I'm going to change all of them.
And does it make a difference? Iowa Code chapter, for example, up in number A versus how it's written in D?
A section,
It's a section.
that's a section, it's different than chapter.
So, okay,
Yeah,
so
the
that's.
section is part of the chapter.
Okay. Because I noticed some are
Yes.
section, some are chapters.
Yeah, some are sections, some are chapters.
Okay.
Okay. Once we get through section 11 with the screening and lighting, then section 12 kind of mirrors the wind energy and decommissioning and abandonment somewhat mirrors. come through somewhat mirrors the wind turbine. So once we get through section 11, which is a little more specific to the when this one, the HDCF, then if you all wanted to call it a night, that would be fine too. Working on 2 hours at it, or an hour and a half at it,
You're tempted.
but we're more than welcome to keep going since we're making really good time, but I definitely want to get through at least section 11.
Let's do 11 anyway, see where we're at.
Okay, so section 11, screening and lighting. Security fencing. An 8-foot security fence shall be installed and maintained around the full perimeter of the HDCF. Fencing shall be of durable, non-reflective material and may include decorative or architectural screening panels where appropriate. Eight or 6 was what I came across. 11. 8 seemed to work. Visual screening and buffers. A landscape buffer shall be provided along all property lines abutting public rights of ways or residentially used properties. Vegetation shall consist of native or adaptive evergreen and deciduous species arranged to achieve visual screening sufficient to obscure at least 50% of all principal and accessory structures from year-round view at a height of 5 feet within 2 years of planting. Berming, fencing, or architectural wall may be combined with landscaping to achieve the required screening standard. And all screening shall be maintained for the life of the facility. Dead or damaged plant material shall be replaced within the next appropriate growing season
Who's providing it?
at operators' expense.
You know, this is something that I know that one facility I looked at, out there, saying we didn't marry or not, but it's right along the road and at an intersection. If somebody starts growing tall vegetation along there, that's gonna be a problem with the trip to the snow. So I think it needs to be something that maybe the county engineer needs to be involved with.
Yeah,
Or I was going to say, didn't we just have fencing information in what we just updated? So does it need to say
Yeah.
to those rules?
Yeah, because it, yeah, it
We
had
had setbacks on fences
Yeah, with
and
setbacks
things,
and stuff.
visibility, yeah.
but like if it has to abide, but that's also something that you'll go over with them in an application process
mhm.
too, but I don't know if it needs to be said. Paragraph. According to the Jackson County.
Don't be organized.
Why we're not, yeah. It's, yeah, even you start planting vegetation, there, you're gonna do problems, so.
Right.
And that would help with type of fencing too, because didn't we say certain type, or couldn't be some, I don't know, there's something in that fencing. Like in subdivisions along roads and whatever we talked about.
Okay. The type of ones that-
We talked about it anyway.
Well, we could have it be similar to, any of the substation fencing.
I mean, it's gonna be sitting next to a substation anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Or very close anyway.
Right. So same perimeters,
That
it
makes
kind of has
sense.
the same consistent look and it would have the same security then
Mhm.
also.
But you may not have a landscape buffer. Cause I don't think those probably don't say
No.
anything about a landscape buffer, they're just
No,
talking about fencing.
Right.
Basically, this is so we don't have to look at it.
Could you keep the landscape buffer along residentially used properties and take it off the public right away? But like keep it off the road. Still, for the snow issue we're talking about, and still put a screen between.
But the other thing is, it's gonna still look, if it looks as bad as places that I saw, you'd like to have something so you don't see it from the road too. Okay, because they're not kept up well. Okay,
You know, maybe they need to decide.
It really depends.
and you can't govern that. I mean.
Yeah,
if-
it really depends on the company that's.
Well, sure it does, yeah. It's no different than anything else, yeah. It'll do, you know. Your neighbors do it the same way, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't control that. That's what I'm saying. You can't control that part.
Yeah.
Unless we put them in a homeowners association.
Good. That makes me cute. Maybe you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, so we'll keep the fencing consistent with substation. And then the landscape buffer.
I mean, really, if the nearest residence is gonna be 1,000 feet away. What's the landscape buffer gonna do for you?
When Mary drives down that road, it'll look pretty.
Yeah.
I know, but we can't make something. It's like, go by house X, Y, Z, and it's not pretty. Not much you can do about that either.
Right,
Yeah.
Pretty's in the eye of the beholder.
yeah.
Yeah, there's some spots that it's hard to see.
I'd like to keep something at least between the resident.
Well, it says may be combined with landscaping. It doesn't say shall be.
Yeah.
You know, if
Could
we're,
it be something removable? Instead of a landscape buffer?
well. What we were talking about a minute ago, that, 8-foot fence around the whole thing. Consistent with the substation ordinance, to keep that uniform. Then this is, like secondary to that,
Mhm.
so. I don't know. I mean, Brian, I get your point, it's, if it's gonna be, if you got a house, even if it's 1,000 foot away. To have some trees or something there, that's better than,
Yeah.
so. So, but are we gonna put shall, or are we gonna leave it may?
Right. Well,
That's,
we-
that's what it comes up to.
right, but, and we're also prohibiting containers. I mean, there are requirements for the building to look pretty decent are
Yeah.
there also. So it shouldn't look bad.
If I had to pick one. I'd rather have a nice looking building, right?
So
Exactly.
let's just leave it as may.
Okay.
And then, which.
But that doesn't also mean there could be 8-foot high weeds outside that nice little building.
Well, so,
That's the way it is.
yeah.
Some people
That's the way it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Okay.
Right,
And
and the
we're-
workers are there
the other
to
thing it says.
take care of the
achieve
computers, not necessarily. to take care of-
Required screening standard. What is the required screening standard? Is there such a thing as a required screening standard?
That's
Yeah,
what
for
we
substation.
had to put it in according to the zoning
Okay,
that we just did.
We've got a standard on substation repairs. So that's what we're matching substation standards.
Exterior lighting. All exterior lighting shall be downcast, shielded, and directed away from adjacent properties and roadways to prevent light trespass or glare. Lighting level shall not exceed 0.2 foot candles as measured at the property line. Motion sensors or timed lighting controls shall be used wherever feasible to minimize continuous illumination. Color temperature of exterior fixtures shall not exceed 3,000 Kelvin to reduce sky glow and visual impact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. I have no idea what it's- I know
Yes,
me,
exactly,
but
yeah.
numbers are.
Sounds good.
Must be a standard somewhere.
That's how white the light is.
Yeah,
Sure,
but I don't know what a 3,000 Kelvin light. is.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm getting at too.
Go to
Yeah,
Home Depot and look at the light bulb section, they'll have
Yeah.
the colors there.
Or 0.2 foot.
And it never looks the same when you get home.
No.
yeah. Reflective surfaces. Reflective, mirrored, or high gloss exterior finishes are prohibited on buildings, fencing, and equipment enclosures. All structures shall use matte or earth tone colors consistent with surrounding rural or industrial character. There's another plug to make the building look nice.
Right.
Maintenance, the operator shall maintain all fencing, screening, and lighting in good repair. Failure to maintain screening or lighting consistent with approved plans shall constitute a zoning violation subject to enforcement under section 14.
Should you also put something like, Mike just talking about the, if you have weeds all over the place in front of the nice building, they maintain that?
Shall maintain all fencing, screening, lighting, and property.
And who's going to cover that?
Becca.
Yeah.
Mary, when she drives by.
That's the problem. I mean, again. beauty's in
Most
people.
businesses aren't gonna want 6 foot weeds growing next to the building just as a fire hazard.
That's why I said, whispered to Mary earlier that sometimes people's landscape plans round up. So that, I mean, they don't have landscaping.
And that's, yeah.
And that's.
And that's why having a 6 foot or an 8 foot fence with, you know, that matches the substation is better. It might be sterile and industrial looking, but it's better than overgrown and crappy weeds.
So then I'm not familiar with that, so they have that webbing kind of in it, so it's.
Yeah.
You can't see through it.
Well, you kind of
Well,
can't see through it,
Yeah.
It restricts the vision, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all good there. Continue on.
I thought we were gonna quit after 11.
Past 2 hours.
What's our timeline for this on?
However long it takes. We got a lot done tonight, so
Yeah, I guess we
there's a lot for me to
we got more
update
left than I thought we did.
to get another draft out.
Well, you got plenty to work on until next month, that's for sure. Yeah.
I do, yeah.
So,
I have 11 sections to work on for next
yeah,
month.
so there isn't a lot of point in us moving on at this point because you wouldn't get it done anyway.
Right, and we're gonna have to go back.
Yeah, but then make sure that what you updated.
Exactly, so it's not,
We're gonna have to check your work.
yes. Oh, with all the IDNRs and, they're jumping out at me. So yes, it won't be done within the next couple months, but we've been given a moratorium until the end of August.
Okay, so we'll move on to our next agenda item. Items from the commission. We got anything? I would just like to thank the supervisors and you for thinking, for them pointing you as the zoning
Yeah,
Thank you.
administrator rather than the interim zoning administrator.
Thank you.
Been very seamless for us. It's for me anyway. Hopefully for the rest of us, though, it's worked out well.
Sister?
Yeah,
None?
I have Laura
Oh, you have
for technical assistant.
Okay.
Yeah, so
are you gonna get assistance sometime?
it's not a no, but for right now,
You're on your own.
Laura is what I need for the technical assistance. And the online permitting process has alleviated so much administrative work that,
Good.
yeah. That's been super helpful.
And
So
Laura's with you for how long?
a year till next September.
Okay.
oh,
Well, thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to items from staff.
Next meeting, 6 p.m., December 15th. And we will be going over the draft ordinance some more. There are no cases scheduled.
Cases,
No
okay.
cases, as you know. The Board of Supervisor public hearing is at 8:30 a.m. on 11/25. For the zoning ordinance draft. And they could have the 3 readings or they could get it done in the one. So it could be finalized as soon as
By our next meeting.
by our next meeting, for sure.
Good.
What decides that? If they have the 3 or the 1?
They do.
Okay.
They do, depending on public input.
Yeah.
And we didn't have anybody at our meeting for public input. Laura is going to be there to present the same PowerPoint that she presented to you all. So that's why they're starting at 8:30, so they have time to get that presented. But, and there's been enough public notice that, hopefully if anybody
If
cares
it's
to come,
printed properly.
they'll be there, yes. So, yeah, otherwise, it should, as long as there's not much their public input, then it'll just take the 1 in 5 minutes.
Good. Okay, then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second, Benjamin.
Hello.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?